Hello, everyone, and welcome to the talk about UX, decoding the chaos in monitoring tools. So first, let me introduce myself. I'm Alexandra. I'm a product designer at Meta. I'm specializing in user experience and product design, and my primary focus is designing data tools. Specifically, I'm focused on enhancing the monitoring and observability tools in the space of data infrastructure at Meta. So, in today's always-on world, outages and technical incidents matter more than before. Glitches and downtime, they have real consequences, and that means missed deadlines, late payments, project delays, apps are down, people freaking out. So the infrastructure is getting more complex. We're consuming a lot of data, and we're also introducing new technologies like AI. So keeping just the lights on, it's not an easy thing. And it's important not only to keep the lights on, but also to make sure that we know how to quantify and track metrics around uptime, downtime, and how quickly and effectively teams are resolving issues. And not if, but when those incidents happen. So, when we think about an incident, what do we mean? What is it? What are the stages? So, briefly, an incident is basically an event that disrupts or reduces the quality of a service. So incident has different kind of severity levels. So you can have a global outage, or you can have, let's say, down to the, a small error that a small group of users are facing. But let's talk briefly about what is the typical incident flow and how it looks like. So at a very high level, everything begins when something breaks. Something happens. So let's say something breaks. We detect it, so you receive an alert, an alarm, and the relevant teams get notified about it, hopefully. And engineers start the investigation process. So they're trying to look into it, what's happening. And eventually, they basically want to find the root cause. And this is where we reach the diagnose phase. And once that happens, good days, we go fix it and fix what's broken. And yeah, ideally, we have a learn and improve phase where this won't happen again. In this session today, we will be focusing on the 3 stages at the end, from investigation to mitigation. And the combined duration of this is called basically mean time to resolve, MTTR. And if I need to give a definition about MTTR, let's call it the average time it takes to fully resolve a failure. And as expected, any organization, any company wants to reduce the time as much as possible. So in order to resolve that failure and that incident, users, engineers in our case, are using various data and monitoring tools. And that can extend from 5 to 10 to I don't know how many. So they're using those tools that will help them to do their work better. So we have seen that there's a strong correlation between MTTR and customer satisfaction. In this case, the customer is the engineers who are resolving the incident. And we have seen that when the engineering experience is bad, the MTTR is high. So it takes hours to resolve the issue, and that can be translated into disappointed end users, and that could have financial implications for the organization, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, when the engineering experience is getting better, we've seen that the MTTR is reducing. So, as I mentioned before, the monitoring tools and the infrastructure landscape is getting more complex. And this is why we're going to focus on how and what is the role that user experience plays in managing the increasing complexities that we're facing in monitoring tools. And for that, we're going to use an analogy. So let's shift gears and consider your monitoring tools as a sophisticated orchestra, where in Megara Musikis, this analogy I think is appropriate. So we're going to be decoding the monitoring through an orchestra's lens. So similarly to a conductor that makes sure that each instrument contributes in a seamless way, UX design plays a critical role in 3 areas. And number 1, achieving clarity, building user trust, and maintaining consistency within your monitoring excellence. So by exploring this analogy, orchestra and monitoring, we'll uncover what UX design can bring to the table and how we can help teams build monitoring and data tools that helps them do the job, empowers them. And we're going to start with clarity. Imagine an orchestra where each instrument plays a different song at the same time. And in a similar way, imagine an engineer who's getting irrelevant alerts about various incidents at the same time. So basically, they're just feeling lost in a sea of alerts. UX design brings clarity in 3 ways. And we're going to start by cutting the clutter, prioritizing the most critical data, filtering the noise out, and we need to reveal what truly matters. So you are in a dashboard, and that's flooded with alerts, colors, banners. It also has like old messages from, I don't know, a month ago. You have multiple notifications, and that could be because, you have a wrong escalation policy. UX design helps prioritize the most critical data you see for a particular task that the engineer is trying to do. This means we filter out anything that's unnecessary, and we're highlighting, let's say, the key metrics with prominent visualizations or bringing contextual information about what is the action that they're trying to do. Continuing with visual guidance. Now, we have prioritized the most critical data. And now we need to leverage the size, color, placement of elements to make that information instantly recognizable. So, okay, let's think about an unorganized spreadsheet or a tool that you've seen that the data sources are so unorganized you cannot even start looking into finding something. UX design uses the visual hierarchy to guide users' attention. Through research, we figure out what is the most important thing that we need to elevate, and we draw attention using elements like the size, the color, the placement, to make those important alerts in the monitoring tools to be more prominent and stand out. For example, very, very simple example, critical alerts. You might be using it already. Yes, it might be in red, and you might have large fonts. Or let's say less urgent stuff might be displayed in smaller text and different colors. Ideally with iconography, with description, so we actually help the engineers understand not only by color, but also with context. Finally, clarity comes when no shortcuts are happening. And so we've prioritized the right data, we've elevated this with the right visual hierarchy. Now we should optimize these workflows. And intuitive workflows is key here. Again, think of a music sheet that's clear and easy to learn, easy to follow. Similarly, when you have a well-designed tool, it has intuitive workflows, we minimize the need for any shortcuts. You don't need to figure out yourself how to do it or cut any corners and do guesswork. It's intuitive, it's well-designed, and also it helps junior engineers who might not be familiar or haven't been onboarded into the tool. So UX design prioritizes logical flows, has clear instructions, making onboarding and tool mastery smoother for everyone. And also, okay, think about an orchestra where everyone doesn't play by the same rules. Everyone has their own kind of, school of thought. Standardizing interfaces and the data visualizations, we ensure that consistency across all the tools and the platforms. So we eliminate the confusion caused by the shortcut clutter, and we empower the junior engineers to navigate the system and have confidence. And it doesn't matter who implemented it at the beginning. It's the workflow is intuitive enough for anyone to jump into the tool and do the task at hand. The second area that UX contributes is trust. So imagine an orchestra where they're blindly trusting the conductor without any music sheet. And similarly, think about, you're opening up a monitoring tool and you're during an incident and it has tech jargon that you have no idea what that is, and you need to figure out what to do. Building trust with users can help them understand their data, build confidence in the accuracy of the data. So UX can help you achieve transparency. So what we mean by that is that UX prioritizes clear explanations of data sources, calculation methods, any source limitations that might exist. We need to empower the users to understand the why behind the information and whatever they see on the screen, and build that confidence to do the task at hand. So we're looking to eliminate any hidden data sources and any weird calculations that might exist within the tool. Another area that builds trust is the visual storytelling with data. So raw data can be very overwhelming. So user experience design transforms this into a clear narrative. Some examples that you might have seen is using a clear visualization, like a chart that you understand, a graph that makes sense. You have contextual annotations. Complex information becomes more understandable. And that shouldn't be like a delight. Oh, by the way, we have an annotation. It should be the story we tell and how we actually build trust with the users. In this case, engineers. So finally, UX can help engineers handle errors with confidence. Errors happen, and it will always happen. We cannot stop that from happening, but data integrity shouldn't suffer. UX design ensures that data tools handle errors gracefully and provide clear explanations. So again, data validation checks, error correction mechanism, informative alerts. We don't need to make the users feel bad because an error happened. We need to empower them to help them, reassure them that the tool maintains accurate data. And when things go wrong, you will find your way and you will be able to do your task fast. Finally, the last area that UX can help with is consistency. Basically speaking the same language across multiple tools and platforms. Imagine an orchestra performing on an unfamiliar stage, and there's confusing lighting, and the instruments are not placed where it's supposed to be. So in the same way, imagine an engineer who's trying to resolve an issue, an incident. They're stuck in that monitoring, tool maze, and they have so many monitoring tools, and they can't find the fix button or the acknowledge button or any button that they need to click at that point. Consistency first comes from product quality. Consistent design empowers engineers. Imagine for every tool, you need to learn right now a new language, and that new language has a new vocabulary and grammar, different grammar. And all that, you need to do it during an incident. So inconsistent UIs create similar difficulty for engineers. A consistent design approach ensures a familiar experience across tools, and they minimize that learning curve. So basically, we're allowing the engineers to focus on tasks instead of, you have a clutter interface and you're trying to navigate. Every new interface requires a mental effort to learn and remember. So consistent UIs minimize that cognitive load. Any new element that we add into a UI basically requires some effort from the user in order to understand what it is, how to find it. So engineers can focus on analyzing data and making decisions, and instead, right now, they might be wasting their mental energy figuring out how each tool works. So which one do we want? So consistency, this leads to having a streamlined workflow, and we reduce the mental fatigue for our users. Finally, inconsistent design leads to wasted time and frustration. And we said that. You've used an app where you're looking for a button that you cannot find it, or it's an unfamiliar app and you cannot do what you want, and that causes frustration. On top of it, put the layer of time, because it's monitoring. You need to resolve the incident as fast as possible. By maintaining consistent placement of common actions like search, filters, even fixed buttons, whatever that button, the main primary action that you have, across all tools, engineers can navigate and complete tasks with greater speed and efficiency. So this translates to your improved productivity, basically, and less errors. I'm going to sum up everything that we said today, and I want to say that we explored how three of the design UX principles can elevate monitoring tools and can empower engineers to basically unlock their full potential. And if we leave the talk today, I want you to remember two things. One, let's just not build tools. I feel now we understand that we're building experiences. We'll build experiences for our users, which is the engineers. And let's try to build any monitoring tool that are clear as blue skies, transparent as a chat you have with a trusted friend, and consistent as your morning coffee routine. So clarity, trust, consistency. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time today, and I'll be happy to answer any questions here or in person. Happy to do so.